Hey toy fans, Aaron here. Today, taking a look at something a little different. I don't think it was the most popular thing that they did in the line when episode 1 toys were coming out, but it is still something that I kind of enjoy, and that is the light up Qui-Gon Jinn figure as a holograph. Here's a look at that packaging. Came in this kind of rather large, oddly shaped display of a bubble. Very top of the packaging, you just got your little name there, light up Qui-Gon Jinn figure as holograph with the Star Wars logo off to the right. Through that packaging, you got a good look at what you're getting and how it works with the figure standing on that holo projector. And down on the bottom, you got a little try me button that you could push. You could see how this works. And surprisingly, the batteries in here do still work. I can push the button and you get that light up going. Left side of the packaging talks about the figure lighting up and that it removes from the base and that you can rotate it a full 360. Alongside that, a nice image of the figure on the stand. I wish it glowed as much as it does in the photo, but that's the way things tend to go on product packaging, I suppose. Over on the right side, you got the same notation, except this time, you're getting the little try me graphic that shows you can push the button on the front to check it out. On the top side, since it's so large, nothing really special here. Just your big Star Wars Episode 1 logo and then the light up Qui-Gon Jinn name there. Here's a look at the back side. Top half, that little white part of the paragraph talks about Episode 1, kind of summarizing that a bit. And the description in yellow talks more about the 3D holo projector being used as a way to communicate between people during the Old Republic. Moving on down, you just got your instructions here, how to insert the batteries, change the light bulb, and of course, how to avoid battery leakage. Taking a look at it out of the packaging, and I'll concentrate first on just the figure itself. Overall, it is a sharp-looking figure, translucent blue plastic with just some touches of flesh tone paint here and there, mainly on the face and a touch on the hands, which is pretty much where you would expect to see the flesh tones of a figure anyways. Now, we did not see a holographic Qui-Gon Jinn used in Episode 1, but I appreciate that they did release the figure. Certainly it's plausible that Qui-Gon would have appeared as a holograph between, communications between people. So for playability and such with your other figures, I think it's a nice thing that they released them. What I do wish though is that I wish this figure had articulation. There is zero articulation to this figure, so really it's just a small plastic statue. And that's quite a departure from what they did with the other holograph figures that were released on the single card line. All of those figures did have articulation for those figures. Going in for a little bit closer look on the head sculpt, certainly does look like Qui-Gon Jinn. Hairstyling looks great, and even though a lot of this is pretty much just that one singular color, you're still getting a good separation of detailing with the sculpt to see the various features being brought out. You can see that the hair is resting on the hood of the robe. Through his face, you can even make out some of that beard sculpting being done in there. Through the upper half of the figure, it's a lot of Jedi robes through here. Good flow of the fabric being placed along the arms, the way that robe drapes down. Through the center of the chest, you can make out his different tabards and part of his Jedi costume. Through the midsection, you got his hands resting on his belt, with his left hand just grasping his lightsaber. And once again, all throughout here, some pretty nice detailing being done for that sculpt. What you might also be noticing through the upper half of this figure is an ever so slight pearlized finish being done. That fades off as you get to the bottom half of the figure, and then it pretty much becomes a clear blue plastic once you're getting around the bottom of the legs, through the boots, and certainly through the back side of that robe. And speaking of that back side of that robe, you've got a very nice sculpt being done in here, showing some nice folds and draping of that fabric. And here's a look at the holo projector in the hand, and as far as the size goes, I think it's pretty darn close to what we saw used in the movie. It's possible that it's just a smidge bigger. So each of these little bits here are rubber, so as I mentioned, they do kind of warp out. And as it sits on your shelf, it's going to sag down a bit. Even in the packaging, this was pushed down, so some of that damage could have already been done from being in the package. As for the top, you got a pretty nice design going on. As I said, overall, this does seem pretty representative of what we saw in the movie. Here in the center is going to be where your light bulb, or the light, projects out, I should say. You have one knob off to the side where once you put the figure on, you can manually spin him around. On the very top, you can see you do have a single foot peg and no problem getting the holographic figure to sit on there. It does have a coordinating hole at the base of the figure where you can slide him on top of that. As for the bottom, you got some pretty nice designs in here. Some bits of gold painting, a fair amount of silver, and some black being done in there for some weathering. Overall, actually, detailing to me does look pretty nice. And then this is the screw you're going to remove to get to your batteries. Takes 2 AA batteries, and also the light bulb in there for the projector lamp is removable. You can swap that out, so in time when it dies out, you can certainly replace that. And let's take a look at it with the figure on the base. You're going to just push that button in the front here. Yet another downside on this set, though, is that with this light, that you push that button, you have to hold it to keep the light engaged. It's not a toggle switch. You don't have an on-off button. So you always have to hold that button in to get the light up effect to work. And I gotta say, the amount of light that you're getting to shine through the figure, it actually isn't all that bad. I certainly wish you could get a better pop to the glow, but I think what we're getting, I think it works out pretty well. Obviously, when you do look at this in the daytime or when you're surrounded by light, it isn't going to have as full of effect as what you're seeing here. So overall for me, I mean, for what it is, I think it was $10 and released in the year 2000. And I like the idea behind it. We only got 2 of these in the line. You had Qui-Gon and you had Darth Maul. There was plans for an Obi-Wan figure and I think another one. But since this line was not that popular, they ended up dropping it. Certainly one of the big negatives to this is that for both Qui-Gon and Darth Maul, those figures had no articulation. So it pretty much limited what you could do with the figure. Otherwise, though, like I said, I do like the idea behind it. So that wraps up this review. Love to know what you think about this figure, about that holographic line in general. And as always, thanks for watching.